This is my speculation of the ending of All Tomorrows. If you're unfamiliar with All Tomorrows, it's a depictive story of humanity's grim future and should be watched before watching this. The link is in the description. After the clash between Earth and Mars, the upgraded versions of ourselves called the Space People emerged. Our ancestors expanded beyond the solar system, beyond the Milky Way, and into the abyss of our own curiosity. Little did we know this was our downfall. Over time, the space people came across a bygone alien race, which were divisive in their ancient ways. We called them the Q. They played God and had a goal that was enigmatic in nature, a religion of their own that could not be understood, a religion that only saw us as an implement for their control over the universe. What they did was unspeakable. They decimated the flesh of man, altering and spreading us amongst different stars to inhabit. The Q manipulated the anatomy of the human body so we could still survive, but only to their liking and only to the environment that they give us. Eventually, when the Q finally decided to leave, humans were left unrecognizable creatures living amongst different planets. But after millions of years, some creatures went extinct. Some went to seclusion, while others joined together. But somehow, we still managed to destroy ourselves, with a specific splice of human race coming out on top, called the Gravitals. Only remnants of what they once were machines with human minds. These hyper advanced humans had a head start because the planet that they were placed on by the Q had ruins of the space people. They used this as leverage to become so advanced they didn't need their bodies anymore. They only needed their minds and a floating orb of machinery. During all this evolutionary conflict amongst ourselves, there were some space people that actually escaped the Q's evil touch. They hid inside desolated asteroids and became so advanced that they were known as astromorphs. Eventually, they came out from hiding and saw how evil the Gravitals were to the other splices of humans. So, they took control of them by wiping their conscious minds from their machine bodies and using them as tools for exploration and resource gathering. Millions of years later, the Astromorphs united with a completely different reptilian like alien race, called the Amphicephalites. They saw eye to eye that the Q were dangerous and had to be stopped. With the forces combined and millions of years of war in between, the Q were finally defeated and at our mercy. The Astromorphs made sure no evil species would do anything like this again, so they began to inhabit different planets with their own race, called the Terrestrials. However, some Terrestrials thought they could overpower the Astromorphs, and when this happened, their planet was completely wiped from existence. But the question is, what really happened to the Q? Taking revenge on them by altering and deforming them into helpless creatures and spreading them across different planets like they did to us wouldn't make much sense. The astromorphs, I'm sure, have evolved far beyond petty human emotions, and why give the Qs a chance at revenge if they were to become advanced once again like we did? Keep in mind, when we were still mere space people exploring the universe, the Q were already godlike to us. How many millions and millions of years has it been from when they turned the space people into human like creatures to when these human like creatures finally were able to become advanced enough to overpower the Q themselves? Who knows how many have already expanded across the universe? Maybe only a fraction of the Q were captured. If this were the case, instead of mindlessly destroying them or giving them a chance at revenge, the amphicephaline astromorphs would probably use their celestial ways in order to siphon as much information from the Q as possible, using the Q as disposable information to prevent this from ever happening again, and learning if there was any more that have yet to be stopped. On top of this, the astromorphs could utilize the Q's information as leverage to help better advance themselves. After the astromorphs and amphicephali have gained as much information as possible, then I believe the Q should be decimated. But they say, die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. So, just how long will it take until we've taken the place of the Q?